The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Taher Kapasi, the Regional Education Manager for ACCA Middle East. I am also joined by Alexander Leach, my colleague, who's also the Senior Education Manager for ACCA in the Middle East. Before we get started, I need to run through a few housekeeping rules with you all. This presentation is accompanied by slides which automatically will change as we present and speak. If you find that these slides are not progressing, you might want to refresh your browser. For PC users, it's F5, and for Mac users, it is Command and R. We'd be happy to take forward questions from your ends and comments, which you can do at any time by using the question area at the bottom of your screens. We will do our best to tackle all your questions in the dedicated question and answer sessions towards the end of the webinar. The whole webinar is expected to last about an hour, and we will be looking at covering the following points. So we will be talking about the ACCA exams, particularly the on-demand CBE and the session CBEs, and what to look forward to in terms of expectations around the upcoming exams. We will be discussing the syllabus changes and how that impacts anybody who's, who had planned to sit the June exams and probably got their exams cancelled. We will be giving you some interesting updates around strategic professional level exams and what to look forward to around there. Our intention is also to be able to signpost some really good and key resources that will help you, with your computer-based exam skills, with practicing, with, taking up your exams. And there are some really exciting resources that you can look forward to when you sort of look into the student study support resource section on the website. We will have a good amount of time for question and answers at the end, and I would encourage all the participants on this webinar to come up with your questions. No questions are big or small, clever or silly. They are questions, and we are here basically to help support you through all your questions and concerns. So, try and make the most of this session today. Ask as many questions as you possibly can. Clear all the doubts that you have. You all might have burning questions, in your heads. Bring it out, speak to us, interact with us, engage with us. This is what we are here for, basically. So we don't want, the intention is not just, giving you all information behind these sessions. It's also more about engaging with our students, and more so in an innovative way, where we can't reach out to you right now face to face, but we have the capabilities and the ability to sort of leverage on digital platforms and still be able to present ourselves to you and give everyone an opportunity to basically engage and interact with us. So try and make the most of it. Let the questions keep coming. Shoot off your questions on the questions section at the end of your panel, and we will be more than happy. Alex and myself will be more than happy to tackle your questions and give you as much information and support as we possibly can. Now, before we proceed, we know that some of these, and quite interestingly, we were having this discussion this morning within our team meeting as well. It's all about, yes, we are going through a pandemic, we are going through COVID-19, but how much should we really talk around it now? Is it high time we need to start, pull our socks up, start looking to the future, look at how things are going to get done, and be more futuristic, be more, and basically just move on. And precisely, aligning those conversations, our session today is all about, moving on, all about looking to the future and what you can, as ACCA students, expect, coming on with the qualification, what it is that you can look forward to from a professional qualification body. You all are a part of a forward-thinking, agile professional qualifications body that is, taking pride in being, the forerunner on introducing some fantastic qualification changes. We are doing a lot of things that we possibly can to make sure that our students and our future members are staying as relevant as possible. And we know that this particular time has been a difficult time for many of our students, and a lot of you are possibly even unsure of what your next steps should be. Our June exams have been cancelled. Are we going to be able to get, are we going to have the opportunity to do exams in September? Some of you may have already been impacted by, exams being cancelled in March also. But it's all about, progressing and thinking forward and looking ahead. We as ACCA are doing everything we possibly can to ensure that these exams are being made available to you. But above all, your personal health and safety, your well-being is also a priority for us. And all our decisions are basically in line with, the guidelines that have been issued by the local authorities and by our sort of exam partners. But we are doing everything we possibly can. We are working tirelessly to make sure that the September exams are being made available to you this year. We've also frozen the exam prices for September this year. So if you notice, the exam prices go up every September every year. This year we will not be taking up the exam prices, and we've frozen them to last year for the September sitting as well. We are also exploring options of innovative options, basically of things like remote and online invigilations. We will be talking a lot more about this in the upcoming slides, and how we can bring these exams more readily available to you going forward, because it is important for us to ensure that our future members are having the ability to progress through the qualifications and are being able to take the exams flawlessly. So let's get started in the interest of time. I mean, yes, some of the exam centers are probably shut right now, depending on what the situation is like in whatever country you are residing in at the moment. Some of the countries, we've got some positive lights from the from the authorities in terms of being able to run exam sessions going forward. Particularly the on-demand exam sessions will also sort of take place and happen, inshallah, by the end of next week or so in some of the Middle Eastern countries. Fingers crossed, things going well. We should be able to run our September exams smoothly. If not, we are exploring other innovative ways of how we can make these exams available to. We're looking primarily at an option which utilizes software which replicates the exam center controls and conditions in the comfort of your home, or an appropriate place where it is safe for you to take an exam, and also continues to ensure the integrity and the fairness of our exams are continuously strict and have the rigor. We don't compromise the rigor of the exam. Again, we know this solution is might not suit all our students, but if our investigations show that these are viable, it could be an option for us, to take forward too, and bring, basically make our exams available to all our students. So I did touch upon remote invigilation in, one of my previous slides, and I just wanted to expand, on what remote invigilation is and what basically you can look forward to when somebody says remote invigilation, or even proctoring. Which apparently is a word we just recently I've recently been introduced to. But for centuries we've managed high volume, and going back to the times and days when I used to do my ACCA exams, I remember going to a massive hall in London, where I sat with thousands and thousands of students taking the exams at the same time, and we used to have invigilators walking through the aisles, walking past us, trying to make sure that we aren't copying, we aren't misusing any resources, or we're writing the exams in a more true and fair way. And invigilation is there basically to create a fair playing field for all, to ensure that parents and employers and students themselves can trust the end results. Is basically, it is something that builds confidence, that the exams are serving their purpose, and that students are sufficiently demonstrating that they have the knowledge that it takes to pass the exams. What do we do in an age where we can't possibly make this sort of exam running possible, and where we can't basically accommodate thousands or hundreds of students, or a number of students at the same time in an exam hall that can sit together in one room and do the exam? How does that change? How does the whole face of examination change? What does online proctoring look like? And will the future of the exams go on to taking online? And I would say, being a member of the ACCA firstly, and a part of an organization that is so forward thinking, this was always on the table. Bringing remote invigilation and bringing more flexibility and agility to ACCA exams was always on the table. what has happened with the ongoing pandemic is that it has accelerated this option for us, and we are now, effortlessly investigating this option to ensure how we can bring in, online remote invigilation to ensure where countries are severely impacted and where we are not able to run exams the way we do normally. What can we do basically to support students in those countries, and how we can make these exams available to them more flexibly. Being able to offer that choice is really the best approach. And as ACCA, and with the founding value of giving open opportunity and flexibility to all our students, I expect that the assessment side of the education sector will also sort of, start bringing in more flexibility, more agility. You've already seen flexibility and agility in the qualification, in the way we learn. Our learning styles have changed. Classrooms face-to-face are now more sort of going towards the blended learning approach, are more, going towards the online, the digital way of learning. It is about time that exams will also take that turn, and I think being ahead on the bend, being ahead of the curve is basically what we as ACCA stand for. So yes, definitely we are looking at remote invigilation. Now, what can you expect when we say remote invigilation? So I'd just like to throw some light. Basically, we're looking at options where, there'll possibly be a software which will definitely run with Pearson VUE, who are our exam delivery partners for computer-based exams. This software will firstly ensure, it might scan your IDs, it might scan the student's face, the picture, and verify that against, your records that we have on our systems. Once all of that is verified, basically what you'll have is practically you'll have a webcam, a camera in front of you, which will be monitored by, an invigilator sitting at somewhere, looking at you. You will have to be present in front of the camera at all times. If you wanted to speak to the invigilator, or if you wanted a break, you'll have to sort of, type in a chat box and talk to the invigilator. These are just the rest of the things, the systems and everything else will be worked out, basically to ensure that, you're able to run the exams with the existing systems that you have available, the internet connections that you have available, the robustness. So there's a lot of things for us to consider and basically work on before we can start releasing, more concrete results too. But what we wanted to do via this session is basically give you all an opportunity or a bit of an insight on what can you expect when we speak of things like online proctoring or, remote invigilation, and what sort of things are involved when, when we're considering bringing this option or making this sort of an option available to you. So how is online or remote invigilation going to impact different segments? So for on-demand exams, which are being offered in conjunction with learning provider network, or, our testing exams, and the countries where exam centers cannot open, we are investigating and discussing options with basically centers to be able to offer these exams at home or at another place of choosing. So basically what it will mean is, instead of going and doing these exams at the, ACCA computer-based exam testing center or your learning partner where they have the authorized testing centers, we will be working with the testing centers to make sure that they are making these exams available to you, either from the comfort of your home or somewhere appropriate, where it is safe for you to be able to do so. These will use online exam invigilation software, and we hope to be able to develop this solution, and make this solution available to you in the coming months. Obviously, we will be keeping you updated with, as and when we progress and we've got solid, concrete information that we can pass on to you. But a very similar solution applies to the session CBE exams also, where we are, exploring, like I said, working with Pearson VUE, exploring the possibility of being able to, invigilate your exams remotely. And what is of utmost importance and what is the highest priority for us is basically first ensuring these exams are available to you, but not only that, also ensuring that the security, the safety, and the rigor of the exams do not get compromised in us being able to, make these exams available to you remotely. So we are definitely working on a lot of different things. For places where, strategic professional exams have still not moved to computer-based exam sessions. We are also looking at the possibility of, how we can make these exams available for you, where we have smaller groups of students, taking exams at multiple locations, but this is still subject to a lot of consideration and off-call approval. So it's not just that ACCA can take a decision easily. We are governed by, various authorities and legislation. So any major changes that we sort of bring in to the qualification, we need to get approvals from the relative bodies, and we are working towards ensuring that the rigor, the safety, the security, plus the student progression is not impacted. So please be assured, we will be working towards getting the September exams available to you. We will keep you informed and motivated and consulted at every stage via various platforms. So we will send out communications, we will host webinars, there will be a lot of information that we will pass on through our social channels. So all I would say is keep a lookout, keep yourself updated, and keep carrying on as if these exams are going to be available to you in the upcoming exam sessions. I would just like to bring in Alex at this point of time to see if he's got any thoughts or points to add on to anything I've said already. Alex, anything from you?
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you for that. And hello everyone today, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. It's the discussion that's been ongoing regarding the proctoring. So myself and Taher and the wider team all around the globe have been discussing, how are exams going to look in the future? And I think Taher's points maybe more than anything around the rigor, the integrity, and understanding the risks around actually changing exams from the current format, but the need to do that to evolve with the changes in technology and the changes within the world that are happening. Just to reassure everyone, like Taher did, it will not be a simple click of the fingers. We are going through a testing stage at the minute, and we'll be looking to do some internal trials and doing a thorough review of what proctoring would look like for our organization, and doing a considerable amount of risk assessments to ensure that it will work for all markets. And it's potentially that Taher sort of alluded to this, that we'll be doing this with Pearson VUE and our other delivery partners for exams. Thank you, Taher.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex. So moving on, what else are you looking forward to? Syllabus changes. We keep getting these questions again and again from students, and I know this is something that this is one of your concerns around. Yes, our exams have been cancelled for June. We were expecting to sit our exams in June. Now we will be sitting our exams in September. Every year in September, ACCA updates and upgrades the syllabus. So what happens to our preparations? Now, what I've got to tell you around syllabus updates is, practically, if you look at year on year, what sort of updates we bring into syllabus, and if I have to sort of give it a percentage, I would say we bring in about marginal 4 to 5% changes on syllabuses. Yes, taxation being an area where the tax rates the tax rates change from a financial year perspective, and there's a different cycle to where the tax rates change and when we make changes to taxation. So keeping taxation apart, any other subjects, you are looking at syllabus changes coming up in the September exam sessions. We will be working on dedicated resources to ensure that students that are impacted by syllabus changes, or students that have already studied and prepared themselves for the June exams, do not sort of get heavily impacted with any syllabus changes. So we are working, our PE teams, our head office in the UK is working basically on producing specific guidance documents and resources which will be made available to you via the syllabus and study guide section. Look out for dedicated resources where you will be able to catch up on any major syllabus changes. I would also point out to examiners' articles and examiners' reports at this point of time, where they tend to sort of highlight what are the new, more so with the articles, the examiners tend to highlight what sort of changes can students sort of expect to look forward to. There's going to be your syllabus and study guides will also be available on the website. So please refer to the final pages of the 2021 syllabus, as this will summarize any changes that we have made to the existing syllabus from the year 1920. More information on the syllabus changes will be made available on the website, and we will send out communications to all our students when these resources are available on the website for them to be able to, go on, check and update themselves. I mean, practically speaking, and very honestly, there's not a huge amount of change that we make to our syllabuses year on year. So I would advise students to not go into a panic mode, or do not give yourself a reason to sort of stall your upcoming exam saying, well, I don't know what the change in my syllabus is going to be. I don't know how much is it going to impact me. These are common myths and fears that students tend to have generally. And what happens at the end of this is you are giving yourself reasons basically to sort of either delay sitting your exams or, not prepare. What my recommendations are is these changes are not major. If you want to sit your exams in September, we will be giving out resources. We will be developing a lot of things that will help you catch up with the basic syllabus changes we've made. And for comparison's sake, we do produce the syllabus and study guide resource every year, which gets updated on the ACCA website under the student support resource section. Do keep an eye out for it. Towards the end of the syllabus and study guide, we do mention what are the specific changes to this new year's syllabus compared to last year. So that will give you a good insight on what changes have happened and what you need to do in terms of being able to fill up your knowledge gaps. We as ACCA Middle East education team are also ensuring that and committing ourselves to make sure that should there be any major changes to syllabus areas, we do things like our Bridge the Gap courses. We bring in expert tutors, we bring in expert partners to come on board with us and host these similar sessions and webinars, basically supporting our students with any major changes that have come up. So stay tuned to our social channels, keep following us for regular updates. Keep looking out for the student support, study support section on the ACCA website, and that will give you enough to sort of, basically prepare yourself for any syllabus changes that are coming in. Alex, anything at all?
Not on that one, Taher. Again, just to echo your message, the syllabus changes are small towards the September sitting. There's a few questions that have popped in the answer panel, in the chat panel around this. One of them just popped up. I'll just read it out, and then hopefully we've addressed this already. So will exam syllabuses change? That were going to be changed in June. So the changes will continue. So any that were planned for September as well will go ahead, and you will be sitting a September exam based on an updated syllabus. But as Taher rightly said, the changes are small and they are not significant, so I wouldn't get too et up on that whatsoever.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex. So moving on, here's an update for all of you that are possibly going to be moving into your strategic professional level exams, or those of you that have just joined ACCA and are also probably on your applied knowledge exams. We as ACCA have taken up on ourselves to ensure that our qualification is continuously updated and as relevant as possible to meet the never-ending demands of the current or the modern day employers. And when we say that, we mean things have changed drastically from the time I used to do my exams, or perhaps maybe Alex or anybody else who used to do their exams. The qualification has evolved tremendously, and the way we've done our exams have changed. Forget just the way we done our exams, the world is changing. 10 years back, 15 years back, we didn't know that there would be a device that could just be held in our hands, where we'd have the entire universe of information available to us at the clicks of a few buttons. So things are going forward with technology developments, with enhancements. Digital is playing a huge part in that, information being available readily. The landscape is changing. Modern work practices are changing. Organizations are evolving, business models are evolving, and so are we as a profession. We as professional accountants also have to keep evolving. We do not write ledgers anymore. We do not write accounts anymore. All our accounting and financial transactions now basically happen on a system, on a clever sort of ERP system that basically takes in an invoice, does all the possible transactions and entries that it needs to do, and sort of starts building up the financial statements. So why do we do our exams the older way? And in line with the similar thought process, we started changing our exams. So we, in 2015, introduced the 4 exam sessions. We made our exams more flexible. We also introduced computer-based exam sessions for the on-demand exams, and then leveraging the entire process, taking that forward the next step. In 2016, we also introduced the applied skill computer-based exams, which means your exams from corporate and business law up until financial management also moved into computer-based, where nothing changed majorly. The only thing that changed was the way you did your actual exam. So rather than writing on a piece of paper, you actually started typing. You started using computers, you started using technology to start constructing your answer. The learning outcomes were still the same, the exam format was still the same. What we expected to see in terms of student performance was still the same. Pass marks remained the same. Everything basically remained the same. The only thing that changed was basically your exam experience and your experience of preparing yourself in order to be more well-rounded and work ready going forward. In line with a similar objective, we've now also taken the step of moving our strategic professional level exams to computer-based exams. And in the interest of all the attendees, the strategic professional level exams for the Middle East region is also moving to computer-based exams starting June 2021. So inshallah, starting June next year, the June exam session next year, we will be moving the strategic professional level exams to computer-based exams. Now, this will again be a phased rollout where we don't basically do the full rollout across the entire Middle East region in the same exam session. So these are planned for different sessions. These are split basically on 2 separate sessions. So just to give you a little bit, and we will definitely be reaching out to you more formally, communicating when these exams are rolling out in your respective countries. But just to give you an insight here, in June 2021, we are looking to roll out the strategic professional level exams as CBE exams for Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, and UAE, followed by Egypt, Iran, and Saudi Arabia in the September 2021 session. So we've split the entire Middle East region across 2 exam sessions, where June will be Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, UAE, and September will be Egypt, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. Now, this decision has been made in line with our student progress and their journeys and the availability of quality tuition provider and support within respective countries. We will be reaching out to you in due course around how you can start, preparing yourselves better. You do not need to worry about, oh my God, what the exams are going to be like. If you've already, if you are a type of student that has already done your applied knowledge exams as on-demand CBEs, your applied skills exams as session CBEs, then moving to strategic professional exams as CBE is not going to be a huge concern for you. Nothing changes again on that end, and that in terms of the functionality or the platform. The only thing that will change is the exam experience. If you are already on the strategic professional level exams, and there's only 4 exams basically on the strategic professional level exam, and if you've finished off your major number of exams, then inshallah by June I don't expect to see a huge number of people who have done strategic professional exams as paper-based. So from the time we've informed you now up until June next year, my expectation is that anyone who's done a strategic professional exam on a paper-based mode would have obviously passed off the entire all strategic professional exams. But there's nothing to be scared of. Stay focused, remain calm. We're there to support you through the transition and the changes. We will be working out on a lot of resources, some of which we will also be signposting on the webinar today for your information, and we will sort of be with you, and our learning partners will be with you in the entire transition, in the entire journey of preparing you to take these newer form of exams and be more confident with them. So sit back, relax, and be assured that you will be supported throughout your exam qualification changes. Now, just would like to take this opportunity to hand over to my colleague Alex to speak to us about some of the exam resources and what's available on the website basically, and give us a little bit of input around CBE skills and what to expect. So Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Taher, and thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. So in relation to the computer-based exams, these are not new for many of you in terms of at the applied skills and applied knowledge level. And I think for those who have progressed through the qualification using the computer-based exams, when they actually get to the strategic professional level, and I know this from my experience and working with lots of students, that they're like, oh, why am I going back to pen and paper? So for those who are still at that lower level, you know, the knowledge level and the skills level, you will hopefully agree with me that the practicing on the computer-based exam platform has actually become something that's of a lot of value to you. So as we do transition towards a strategic professional level, there is also a practice platform available on the ACCA Student Resources website that you'll be able to access and do a lot of practice on there. I think one of the great things about the amount of resources that are available is firstly, they're free. And I think particularly those students who are doing a lot of exam practice and they can do that, it is one of the most valuable things you can do with your time to ensure that when you do get to the exam, you are actually in a position where it is the real thing. So if you practice like it's the real thing, when you get to the real exam, it feels like practice. Moving into the study support resources, particularly themselves, this is a nice slide, thank you, Taher, where the resources you can see on our website for all of our qualifications, but particularly the ACCA qualification, the full Chartered Accountancy qualification. Within that section, you can get exam team guidance, straight from the examining team, study support guides, so giving you an overview of how you might want to structure your study. Retake guides for anybody who's actually doing a resit. It's perfectly acceptable to be doing a resit, and you might have a different approach from when you effectively started at the beginning from a fresh start. The overall syllabus as well is available, so you can break that down into manageable chunks. English language support for those who English is an additional language. Computer-based exam practice and preparation, which I've already touched on. Past exams, make sure that you can actually see the real thing. Technical articles. Now, this is something I'll just pause for a second just to emphasize. The examining team write technical articles on every one of the exams. It gives you an insight into the way that the examining team think. And if I was to give any students any advice, it's quite simply that you need to look at this resource, because ultimately you are looking at something from the perspective of the examiner who has written your exam. There's also tips on here around exam techniques, frequently asked questions, and overall pass rates for the globe. While I'm on the actual microphone, there's a couple of other questions that have popped in, Ty, and I wouldn't mind just addressing quickly if that's all right, because one of them relates to a few of our markets. Is that all right with you, pal?
Yeah, go on.
Fantastic. So there's a question there that says, will there be a possibility that exams will be running in September? This question is actually specifically for QA, but I'll answer it generally for the entire region. So we are looking and are acting as a business that we will be running exams in September. Now that is understandably, given the current situation, subject to change, given the unprecedented disruption that is being caused. So we will be looking to run the exams in September. I would advocate that students who have already booked for June and where it has been cancelled in your market, which is predominantly most of the people on this call, you will be receiving a credit in your account if it's not there already. And then as soon as the window opens for September, I would advocate that you book as quickly as possible to the September sitting, firstly to make sure you get a space, but also just while I'm talking about that, it is not our intention in any way, shape or form that students will not get a space, but by booking early, it allows us and our delivery partners around the world to understand the capacity that we will need to plan towards September. That's it from me, Taher, on that one. If you've got anything to move forward with or add from what I've just said, please do.
Brilliant, thanks, Alex. The only thing I'd really like to add is basically, and something we also again covered or touched upon in the first one of these webinar series is basically the importance of enhancing your your CBE skills. And just in the interest of the audience that may have not had the opportunity to attend or listen to the first webinar, I'd just like to reiterate a point around the importance of being able to really enhance your CBE skills. This is an important aspect. This is a technique that is really going to help you get more marks in your exams and really sort of support you with performing well in your upcoming CBE exams. So whilst you are still used to the existing CBE platforms and you are also possibly managing, look for ways of where you can still enhance your CBE skills. So if you've not done your financial management exams or the likes of those exams, how can you start working on formulas that formulas basically that calculate your working capital, your WACC, or your IRR, which is your internal rate of return on investments, etc. There's a number of things on your performance management that you can really start looking at, improving in terms of your spreadsheet skills. Start looking at your typing skills. What is it that you can do in terms of enhancing your typing speed, where you don't find yourself challenged for timekeeping. We have enough, anyways. We've got enough evidence to prove that moving our exams to computer-based exams have made sure that our students are really working well with timekeeping, and they are actually saving a lot of time, because you've already seen the benefits of being able to do your exam on a computer rather than doing it on a piece of paper. But yes, just wanted to emphasize on the fact that you've got extra time. Try and make the most of it. Try and look at things where you can upskill yourselves around your CBE skills. Apart from that, we've got our regular study support resources that Alex has touched upon in the previous slides. But I would like to give a special mention to one of the existing resources that we've newly basically made available for our students, which is called the CBE Practice Platform. Now, this is the newest resource that we've made available to our students in order to support them with exam preparation. It's basically free of cost. It's on-demand resource designed to mirror the live exam experience, helping students become more familiar with the actual exam format. So apart from the question practice, apart from the CBE Practice Platform, the other resources that we had which give students an insight were things like the specimen exams, the past exams, the question practice area. We've, on top of all of that, we've added an additional resource where we've thrown in some questions, we've thrown in some content. We've also put in a few past exam questions. We've put in questions from our specimen exams. So the CBE Practice Platform has some real good features which basically stimulate your exam practice and give you a feel for the real thing. You can access different questions on the practice platform. You can also self-mark your tests with the help of the detailed marking guide. So there are detailed marking guides available which can act as a skeleton to basically guide you through marking your questions using the sample answers. You can also track your performance and be more exam ready, be more confident. I cannot emphasize enough on being able to practice real exam style questions under exam conditions. So the more you practice and the more you use this practice platform, the better you will keep getting at them. All applied skill students have access to the practice platform. For strategic professional level students, where exams have now moved on to computer-based exams, i.e. in the UK, Ireland, and Czech Republic, those students can access the practice platform via their MyACCA account. So what will happen is you go into the ACCA the website, you go into the study support resource section, you see the question practice section here. When you click on it, you will be directed to the practice platform. You will need to log in using your MyACCA account details, and that is how you will get access to the practice platform. Now there's a quick video from our our professional education team in the UK, which I wanted to show, which will give you a quick insight on the actual resource and how it looks and things. So let's have a look at this video while Right. It's actually quite an interesting resource, and and my personal favorite in terms of, if there is going to be a resource that I would really like to push forward and signpost, it's going to be the CBA practice platform. Apart from that, there are a couple of other resources that our teams in the UK are continually working on. And one such potential resource is the ACCA Study Planner. Now, this is a resource which is going to be making its way into the study support resource area, but we've had the privilege of, sort of introducing this resource to all our students in the Middle East, even before it has gone out and officially launched on the website. But this resource basically will give you the structure that you need in order to prepare and support your exam preparation. So as you can see from the screenshots here, in fact, I do have the resource here in front of me, but in the interest of time, what I will do is I will skip taking you through walking you through the resource and quickly give you a little bit of information around its key features. And what we'll do is all the attendees, and in the interest of all the ones that have registered, we will be sharing out the study planner on an email as a follow-up form from today's webinar. So just to give you a quick insight, depending on which stage of your study you are in, if you are preparing for a retake, we've got an option where you can select. So this is an interactive PDF where you can select, based on the number of weeks you've got basically to prepare for your exam. So you're looking at 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Just a quick one, Taher. Sorry to interrupt, my friend.
Yep.
After the video, it doesn't appear that the screen's sharing anymore, so I wasn't sure if I was lagging. Is there something you could just check quickly? Because currently we've still got the opening slide, that's all. So it might just be that you have to share and unshare. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you, Taher. Sorry for interrupting.
Back on.
Beautiful.
No problem. Thanks for interrupting, Alex. I didn't realize the screen wasn't showing. So apologies, everyone. And yep, just coming back to my point, this is basically a snapshot of how the study planner will look like. The founding principle behind the planner is basically to give our students some ability to plan and come up with a structure. Again, depending on how many weeks you've got till your actual exam, you can select. And then this interactive PDF will basically, what it'll do is it'll take you to the relevant part, the relevant section where you see these drop-down menus. You'll be able to select between study, revise, learn, question practice. So you can pick your options depending on your preference and where you are in terms of your exam delivery or your exam preparation, and then you can start working on a plan that you can stick to. It's a great resource. Personally, I think I've had a go through of the resource myself, and I think it's something that has been made for you to use. So I would urge all of you to start making use of these key resources, because if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. It's something that which is the mantra of the head of ACCA, Fasila Goplani, and I think she's quite right in saying that, because everything is around planning, and the importance of planning cannot be emphasized enough. So do sort of get these resources and try and make use of it, because they are out there. We've invested the time, and we've made the efforts to sort of ensure that we bring things to you that are sort of adding value. Moving on, we are also working on a student VLC now. Some of you with a university background or with previous qualifications background might be aware of what a VLC is. Basically, it stands for a virtual learning center. Now, whilst this is a resource which is going to be continually monitored and updated, and we will be upgrading it and we will be working on it throughout, we do not we don't want you to have high expectations around these resources, but they are actually going to be quite useful to you. And the whole point in saying don't have high expectations is we will not be supplementing these for things that learning providers do. So don't expect pre-recorded lectures, or don't expect these to be something on the lines of you get registered, you use the VLC, and you'll be able to start writing your exams. These are all complementary, these are all supplementary resources that will actually supplement your existing exam preparations, whether it is in the form of face-to-face classes, or whether it is in the form of online or digital classes, or any way that you are preparing yourself to do the exams. Again, this is just a snapshot of what the VLC will look like. As you can see, there is the English language, guidance there. There is also guidance on mathematics for anyone who's not had the background in mathematics and would like to brush up their skills. Although I would like to emphasize, and as ACCA students, you all already know, you do not have to be mathematicians to become an accountant. But yes, there will be things like, short quizzes, self-assessment, things like checking for your understanding on cash flow statements, on consolidations, if you are basically moving from your financial reporting to your strategic business reporting exams, and you wanted to see basically if you had any existing knowledge gaps where you wanted to work on and build on those, filling up those gaps. These quizzes are going to be important for you. I have signposted the VLC, basically the address here at the bottom of the slide. It might be worth taking a picture of this if you wanted to go and fiddle around. Again, like you see on the screen, you will need to sort of log in. Your login credentials will be the same as your My ACCA account. So for both the resources that we are highlighting today, which is the the CB practice platform or the VLC, you will need to be an existing ACCA student. These are only available to ACCA students, and the login credentials will be the same as your existing My ACCA accounts. Right, so just before we jump into the Q&A sections, I just wanted to take this opportunity to hand over to Alex and see if he's got something to add in around these resources or any points from his end.
I think it's more of a general observation than anything else, and it's within the theme of everything you've said today, Taher, is that the qualification continues to evolve with education, with society, and with the way that people view accountancy, and the shift towards embracing technology, whether that's the plan to move to strategic professional computer-based exams, or even some of the forced change around online proctoring. I love the fact that this virtual learning center exists. And I know when I was learning and doing my ACCA, I would have loved to have been made aware of such resources. So I hope that the students have found this really useful, because sometimes, we can get a little bit, what I refer to as tunnel visioned, or put our blinkers on and stick to our usual, textbook and read through textbook. So I think that this resource is fantastic. And even I'm learning things as we go through these presentations. So thank you from a personal perspective. If you do want to flick forward to the next one on questions, there is some interesting ones coming on that myself and you can talk through. And one of them is quite a general question, but I feel like it still adds value. So how long will it take to finish your professional level? And it's a bit fair, so I'll talk through all levels and then we can both discuss this one. How long will it take to finish a professional level? How do you recommend, and do you recommend doing an exam one at a time? How many months do you need to study approximately? So, I mean, we could back this one backwards and forwards, and just to reiterate, myself and Ty are both members of the ACCA. We've been through these qualifications and we've worked in education for some years. And I think from my perspective, this question is how long's a piece of string? And I'll get to the point, Ty, and then you can jump in, because part of the reason ACCA exists is to be flexible and to be accessible. So there isn't necessarily a hard and fast, you have to do them in this set amount of time. And each student is different. And so the 4 sittings a year is designed to allow flexibility as well as the options at the strategic professional level. But Ty, from your experience as a member and working in education, what's the sort of general pattern that you see students, particularly in the Middle East region?
I think from what I've experienced so far in the Middle East, Alex, in general, again, depending from person to person, majorly students can take up to from anything as little as 6 months up to a year to pass their strategic professional level exam. So we, like Alex rightly said, we've got 4 exam sessions in a year, and depending on how you are able to balance your personal or work life alongside your study commitments, it's entirely up to you as an individual. I've seen students who've done sometimes quite ambitiously done 2 strategic professional level exams in the same exam sittings and finish them off in 6 months, as opposed to some of the other students that have been a bit more cautious, been a bit more patient, and tried and really balance their work and study patterns and done 1 exam per exam session. But it is entirely this is something that depends on you you've got to take a step back and really figure out how much time you've got at hand to prepare for these exams. I wouldn't necessarily advise doing more than one strategic professional exam at the same time, particularly because these are quite a challenging exam. You know, the SBL is a very newer form of exam. SBR, again, you know, the option exams are quite challenging in themselves. So unless you are quite confident, you know, I wouldn't advise anyone taking more than one exam. And if you do follow the advice, and if you go by the route of doing one exam per exam session, you're looking at least 1 year. Having said that, I would also like to signpost the ACCA progression rules. So you all might be aware that you have 7 years from the time you pass your very first strategic professional exam. For anyone, I wouldn't expect anybody attending this call today to be in that particular segment of students. But if there are any students that, you know, have passed their very first strategic professional exams, you know, you've got 7 years basically to complete all 4 of them. If you fail to do that within 7 years, and I would, it's hard to imagine anybody being in this sort of position, but if you fail to do that, any exams that you have passed, basically the clock restarts. So you've got to start sitting your exams again. So do bear that in mind.
Brilliant. Taher, just to sort of summarize on and come back full circle, you know, the qualification is flexible, and, you know, we don't want anybody to race through it. And yes, you can, you know, pass the strategic professional level within a year. And I think that's, you know, that's quite fast from my perspective, because there are 4 sittings, but ultimately you want to take the advice of the progression and try and fit it around maybe your other commitments as well. Interestingly, Taher, there's a question at the end that's just popped up around study support resources. You know, will this just be enough? Is there anything else? I've got something that I'd just like to signpost. Yes, there is a fantastic amount of resource on the website, and, you know, an ever-growing amount of them. And because we now have a bit more time, you might wish to start looking at a broader resource, so like the technical articles, or even the examining team debriefs that they do after every sitting. But if there are students on the call who haven't enlisted an approved learning partner to help them with their studies, I would highly advocate that this is a good time now to maybe get in touch with the learning partners and see how they can also support you through your ACCA journey. Taher, do you have anything to add to that?
No, excellent point, Alex. Yep.
Fantastic. A couple of other questions that have popped in have been quite administrative, so around things like the when will the credit show up in my account, and so on and so forth. I don't actually have the answer to that, being completely transparent with everyone right at this moment in time. It's ran through the central team, so the chances are that if it isn't there already, it'll be with you as soon as possible. And you do not have to go out and cancel your exam. So the June exam, if you have had a cancellation in the country, so the majority of the Middle East, in fact, all of it, so it will automatically be cancelled. But again, just that message, when September exams become available, please get booked onto them, use the credit as quickly as possible, so we're allowed to understand the capacity and the needs for that, so we can plan accordingly.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex.
I can't see any.
Yeah, I think there was one question around when will strategic professional level exams go to CBE in Jordan, Amman. Yes, in Jordan, again, it will be covered within the September session, so we will not be introducing the strategic professional level exam, the CBE, in the June session, but Jordan is covered within the September 2021 exam window. Any more questions? Again? I mean, this is your opportunity, students, to you know, sort of relies on this, you know, this option that is presented to you. And
I've got a question, Taher, actually, that might be useful for the audience, and it's kind of a reflective one. So if you were now at a stage where you were still studying for your ACCA as you've done previously, and the June exam had been cancelled, you were looking to the future, what would you do?
I would definitely start preparing for my upcoming exams, and given the fact that I, you know, I don't know if I should call it a blessing or, you know, the whole point around having the additional time, I would really try and maximize the opportunity in terms of really coming out with a skill. Either it is with enhancing my CBE skills, or also possibly doing the ethics and professional skills module if you know, if students had not, if I hadn't already done that. If I was a student who had possibly done the old ethics module, then again I would emphasize this is a good opportunity for you to go in and do your new ethics and professional skills module A, because it is available to all of you for free if you've done the old one, and B, it's a lot enhanced version on the old one. So the kind of skills and the kind of units and the learning that you come out with after you've completed the ethics and professional skills module is going to be tremendous in support in, you know, guiding you through your strategic professional level exams. More so now that the strategic professional exams are, you know, going to be converted to, or you know, transitioning to computer-based exams.
Thank you very much. Well, that's it from my perspective. I know we've come up to the time, so I'll pass it back to you, Ty, but just a little thank you for everybody who joined us. Ty, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for the knowledge. I always seem to learn when we do these as well, so I found this really useful. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Alex. So, assuming that you all have no other questions, I think it's time for us to wrap up. But before I do that, I would really sort of want to emphasize that it's about time that, you know, we sort of get our heads out of the sympathy mode, and, you know, yes, we are facing a you know, pandemic, and yes, things are not going as we planned for them to be going forward to, but it's all about looking forward, looking at the future, and eventually realistically keeping your eyes on the end goal, which again I would like to emphasize would be, you know, for you to work out what is your end goal right now. Yes, what exams you want to work on should be an interim short-term goal. What exams are you going to be taking up in September? How are you going to be progressing through your qualification? How do you get your ACCA membership in order for you to be able to reach your end goal? So, you know, really sit back, reflect on, you know, what you know, make the most of this time in terms of, you know, being able to reflect upon your past performances, and you know, really work towards a plan, and, you know, target your future goals more efficiently and effectively. So, you know, all the best to everyone for the upcoming exam sessions. We will do everything we possibly can to make sure that the exams are being made available to you. And all the best, everyone. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ty. Thank you, everyone.